You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. Welcome to our news. The headlines. DP and UPND storm electoral house over voter registration hiccups. Some filling stations in Lusaka ran out of fuel. Mother of 2-year-old boy testifies how a 33-year-old ZAF officer sodomized her son. In international news, U.S. Attorney General orders vote fraud inquiries. And in sports news, fashion, KANGWA arrive for zebra clash. For the details, join me shortly after this break.
Join Pastor Victoria and Moses Chilua, the Healing Word Ministries International.
Starting on the 3rd to 6th December 2020.
Dr. Francis Miles from the USA returns to Zambia for a conference on issuing restraining orders.
Because you see, God responds to your revelation. So if you approach God as the healer, He heals you. If you approach Him as your shepherd, He will touch your soul. But if you approach Him judicially, He will show you He's the cause.
Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Time,
17 hours to 19 hours from Thursday to Saturday.
And on Sunday from 09 hours to 11 hours. For more details, call +260 962 965 883. You do not want to miss this conference this time.
With the details, my name is Litseli Kanyanga. The increase in cases of missing children countrywide has raised fear in parents, especially those whose children have been victims. Innocent Kabaso, a Lusaka-based parent whose 13-year-old boy, Dylan Kabaso, mysteriously went missing and found after 3 days, has feared for his child, not knowing what exactly might have happened to the boy. Mr. Kabaso told Camnet TV News that his son was allegedly abducted by 7 men who kept him locked in a truck in an unknown location. Details in this report.
In what seems as a tale, social media has in the past few weeks witnessed an increase in the number of missing persons, mostly constituting children. Camnet TV crew has been on the ground to investigate what really is causing the disappearance of these persons. And according to the information, some of the disappearances have been due to negligence by the guardians, while others are a deep case that needs further investigations. Camnet TV crew also took time to interview one of the parents to a 13-year-old Dylan Kabaso who went missing for 3 days before being found.
Then in the morning of Tuesday, he left home as usual. And the school premises is a walkable distance. So when the mother noticed something, because Dylan has never come home late at this time, because normally they knock off around 14 hours. So it's when she follows up. She asked the principal, "No, my son left for school in the morning." So she started following each and every student at their houses. So all the students were saying the same thing, that we didn't see Dylan today. So it was a concern now. So now she phoned me. That was around 18 hours, because she was trying to investigate or to find out maybe you find him playing around, or maybe because he likes playing video games, or maybe he has gone somewhere to play my video game. So she went through all of. So when she calls, "Oh, I think you should come back home quickly because Dylan hasn't come home yet." So we searched, but unfortunately we didn't find any answer for the child. So on the Friday morning, when I went to searching for the boy, it's when I hear just a phone call from my wife, said, "Oh, Dylan is here." That was around 8. "Dylan is here. Who brought Dylan in?" No, I just saw him entering the house like speed into the bedroom. "Then what did you say to him?" "No, I just called him, Dylan, come and hug me." He came and hugged the mother. So I showed him a picture of Monat. Do you have anything which is paining in your stomach, or maybe your body-wise you are not feeling well? Are you okay? Then he said, "No, I'm okay." "Do you have any pain in your stomach?" No. Then ask him like, "What were you eating?" Then he said, "They were giving me water." "Oh, I don't know." Ba grandma bakweta bayishira na bakanya okumwipisha ama question. Ero bayisa direct. Again yabwerera ku bedroom kulala. You see? So bena bayingira direct. Kya mukumubusha tatwa ishiwe bonza nabengera ku bedroom bale mubusha so bambo. Iwe Dylan wali kwisa. Ati nali mutraki. with a bed behind the truck. There were people with coats. When I was going to school, vanabwela vani milika chabati milila vaisa nchikatati toneka bagi kobe like vamufula ka bagi then vaisa muikata like this ilo alivalanga tilo vaisa njingisha mulika motoka. So that's how I went. From that time I was in the truck. So how did you move from where they would? Do you remember the place? Yes, I can remember the place. But do you remember the place where they took you? Sharp to date.
Efforts to get a comment from police spokesperson Esther Katongo proved futile as she was unavailable during broadcast time. And according to the 2019 Trafficking in Persons report, the Zambian Police Service investigated 13 potential trafficking cases, while the Department of Immigration initiated 28 investigations, and the Ministry of Labor and Social Security investigated 28 potential forced child labor cases for a total of 79 investigations compared to 22 in 2017. Prudence Chota for Camnet TV News.
A mother of a 2-year-old child has testified before Magistrate Mwaka Mikalile that her son was left with several bruises on his anus after a 33-year-old Zambia Air Force officer allegedly sodomized him. The witness told the court that the accused, who had claimed to be in a drunk state, had gone where the children were sleeping, removed their clothes and performed the act. But when the 2-year-old victim started screaming, the accused ran away, leaving all his clothes behind. This is in a matter in which Andrew Shilika of Zafndeke has been charged with 2 counts of unnatural offences contrary to Section 155, Cap A of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the laws of Zambia. It is alleged that Shilika, on dates unknown, but between the 27th and 28th of February in Lusaka, had carnal knowledge with 2 boys aged 4 years against the order of nature. More in this report.
Total silence and shock is what was left in court when a state witness narrated how a 2-year-old son sustained serious bruises after he was sodomized by a 33-year-old Zambia Air Force officer. The victim's mother testified that Andrew Shilika had gone into the room where her son was sleeping, undressed him and performed the act on the defenseless child. The witness was testifying in a case Andrew Shilika of Zafndeke Male Single Quarters has been accused of having sexual intercourse with a boy aged 2 years old. Shilika has been slapped with 2 counts of unnatural offense contrary to Section 155 of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the laws of Zambia. He has also been accused of sodomizing a 4-year-old boy. According to the witness, on the material day, the 28th of February 2020, her and her husband were watching TV when suddenly their house helper came to inform them that something had happened to their son. The couple immediately rushed to the children's room and found them naked with no single sign of the accused. The witness informed court that a 2-year-old son had once before complained of experiencing pain on his private part, but the couple brushed it off as they thought his love of eating chili was what was causing the pain. Little did they know that their son was being sexually abused by a 33-year-old officer. Meanwhile, an arresting officer of Charleston Police Station under the Victim Support Unit section testified that Andrew Shilika denied having molested the 2-year-old child when she was recording his statement at the police station. She said the accused claimed to have gotten so drunk after he came from a drinking spree and accidentally went into the children's room and removed his clothes while the lights were off. However, as he tried moving the victim, the boy screamed, and this alerted the neighbors, leaving him with a quick memory to remember that he was in a wrong room and decided to run away. The accused, who is currently on police bond, pleaded not guilty before Lusaka's Magistrate Mwaka Mikalile. The matter has been adjourned for continued trial. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
A state witness has told the Lusaka Magistrate Court that as far as he is concerned, Mr. Valden Finley only accompanied the president once for a presidential trip to Ndola. Malambo Mainga, 46-year-old Assistant Commissioner of Police based at State House, testified that he would be failing in his 24 years of duty if someone is to provide evidence and proof that Mr. Finley has traveled with President Edgar Lungu multiple times. However, in a cross-examination, the witness confirmed with the court that Mr. Finley was present when President Lungu went to meet the Kenyan president. This is in a matter where Kambwili has been charged with defamation of the president following a complaint filed in the Lusaka Magistrate Court by new Congress Party leader Peter Chanda. It is alleged that on dates unknown, but between the 1st and the 12th of September 2020 in Lusaka, Kambwili, with the intent to bring the name of the president into hatred, ridicule and contempt, did publish defamatory remarks affecting the Republican President Edgar Lungu by word of mouth, to which he questioned what business the president would have with Mr. Finley. More in this report.
Former Information and Broadcast Services Minister, now the current National Democratic Congress leader, Chimba Kambwili, who for the past 2 years has been visiting different courtrooms, maintains his stance that being a citizen of Zambia and an opposition leader, he has a mandate to do checks and balance on the characters that may associate with the head of state. The NDC leader made his second appearance before Lusaka Magistrate Felix Kauma since his release from the remand correctional facility. Yesterday, the court witnessed the drama when opposition leader took to the tax to cross-examine the man who lodged a complaint against him. In this matter, Kambwili has been charged with defamation of the president following a complaint filed in the Lusaka's Magistrate Court by new Congress Party President Peter Chanda. Kambwili has been accused of defaming President Edgar Lungu when he questioned his relationship with Valden Finley and alleged that the presidential plane was being used to courier drugs. This morning, Kambwili, sitting in the accused dock, heard Mr. Malambo Mainga, an Assistant Commissioner of Police based at State House, testified how a team of security officers do check the luggages if they are safe when the president is traveling, to avoid anything that could either harm or embarrass him, among other things, to ensure that no explosive bombs have been placed or drugs. Mr. Mainga testified that Mr. Valden Finley, whom Kambwili had questioned his relationship with the head of state, does not travel with the president. Kambwili, during his press briefing last year, had alleged that Valden Finley always accompanied the president. However, the state witness this morning denied to the claims and told the court that Mr. Finley has only traveled once with the president when he had traveled to Ndola. Trial continues on the 16th of November 2020. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
The Democratic Party, through its president, Harry Kalaba, says it will not allow a situation where the 2021 general elections are rigged even before they are held. Mr. Kalaba is in an exclusive interview with Camnet TV News at the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ offices, where he went to seek an audience with ECZ officials, says his party is deeply concerned with the manner in which voters' cards are being issued. Mr. Kalaba complains that the exercise seems to be marred with too many hiccups, which need to be resolved. And some opposition United Party for National Development UPND members of parliament, led by Luao MP Stumbeko Msokotwane and Kabompo MP Ambrose Lufuma, have challenged the ECZ to tell the nation why it is changing its goalposts on matters relating to the electoral process on a daily basis.
30 opposition United Party for National Development UPND and a delegation from the opposition Democratic Party led by its party president Harry Kalaba Tuesday stormed the Electoral Commission of Zambia ECZ offices to inquire on the challenges being faced in the issuance of voters' cards. So far, complaints have come from far and wide. The electoral stakeholders' main target was ECZ Electoral Officer Patrick Shindano. The stakeholders, who seemed agitated, have warned that any schemes to differentiate Zambians may result in unwanted stories for the nation. Among the burning issues looked at in this closed-door meeting included the contradictions by ECZ top officials in the names of Commission Chairperson Esau Chulu, who on Monday, while launching the voter registration exercise, announced that ECZ officials will only be at a particular registration center for 7 days and leave to another, contrary to what Mr. Shindano had been telling the nation, that the officers will be stationed at a particular station for 30 days so as to ensure that the targeted 9 million voters are captured. Vice President Inonge Wina even echoed Mr. Shindano's statement in Parliament.
The Commission will service 8,999 polling stations in mobile exercises and 116 district centers. With this, the Commission only requires 33 people per day per polling station to meet the target. The issue of whether the 30 days are enough to register everyone, I think this answers it.
Mr. Kalaba, after storming out of the meeting, which seemed not to have a conclusion, despite being in it for close to an hour, had this to say.
It's a sad scenario that Zambians are struggling to register. And as Democratic Party, we came to register our disquiet that we need to enhance the process. Look, the rains are coming now, and people are failing to register maybe one polling station. They're only registering 50 or 40 people. We can't continue like that. I mean, people are losing the elections even before they vote. That we will not accept. And as Democratic Party, we have said, we will ensure that a fair and free process is enhanced. That is the role we will play, to ensure that Zambians have a fair chance at the elections. Let the best guy win and not using any other methods. We have also raised the issue of the period they have given these polling stations. They have told us that they will be they'll make sure that if this polling station closes, there's a nearest one where people can go and register, and that for them they have described the problem as being a good problem because people have turned up. Because it's a good problem, they will ensure that they capture everybody. We are yet to see.
UPND officials also added their voices to this issue.
We came here to raise our concerns over the registration of voters, which started yesterday. Part of the concerns which we raised were that, for example, in Kayema, Shimano, people who had registered online, they couldn't be issued with card because it was claimed that there was no network, which was quite surprising. And we also, like for example, today in Munkuye, we've been told that the machine the whole day they haven't worked, and so you can't have a system whereby machines which started working yesterday are breaking down today. That means that the program is destined for failure.
Tamushindamo was at one time at Mulungushi International Conference Center, where he told most of us, I remember attending that meeting, where he told us that each polling station, the ECZ were to be there for 30 days. To my surprise, they are now issuing statements that people, rather officers, will only be there for 7 days, contrary to what he had already actually told us. So what we've done is we've actually posed that question to him, and they are saying they are trying to do something so that they meet our demands. So far, we are waiting. The meeting is still on, and we just hoping for the best. Otherwise, we want to urge ECZ that this country belongs to all of us. It does not belong to Mushindamo, it does not belong to me, neither does it belong to PF alone.
It is day 2 of the voter registration, but as it stands, no much progress has been made as complaints of the slow pace of the exercise seem to dominate the voter registration exercise. ECZ, on the other hand, maintains that it will manage to register 9 million voters in the remaining 28 days. Kalan Uchima reporting for Camnet News in Lusaka.
The voter registration exercise that commenced yesterday is still facing challenges as reported on the first day. Camnet TV has been tracking the story by checking selected voter registration centers. The reports on the ground are still disappointing to the members of the general public. The Lusaka Shore Society Grounds Registration Center by noon registered less than 30 people. Some people, when spoken to, say they were on a queue for more than 3 hours before being attended to. Meanwhile, on the Copper Belt, Green Party President Peter Sikamba managed to register as a voter at Parkland Secondary School. Mr. Sikamba has described the situation as great despite the low registration turnout. Here's a report.
Standing in long queues for hours has characterized most voter registration centers in Lusaka. Day 2 of this exercise is no different from the first day, with similar or worse challenges. Failing of equipment and low number of officers at each station has contributed to the slow pace at which the process is being done. In some areas, members of the public are made to stand for more than 4 hours before being attended to. In all this, the Electoral Commission of Zambia ECZ insists it will manage to register 9 million targeted voters within a period of 30 days. The Zambia Institute of Governance and Civil Liberties Advocacy Platform Chief Executive Officer Francis Chipili expressed his displeasure about the process.
I want to register our disappointment with the Electoral Commission of Zambia in the manner it has conducted the rollout for voter registration. The process is very, very slow. I've been here since 9 hours. And I was number 33. This is when I just got my voter's card. A lot of citizens inside are very frustrated because sometimes they're infusing in people with special needs, special cases, but then they haven't created a special desk for such needs. And so I want to appeal to the Chief Executive Officer for ECZ, Mr. Sundano, to critically review the process and ensure that citizens are not discouraged from participating in the elections next year. We also want to caution the ECZ to ensure that it's not the reason why some stakeholders will dispute next year's elections. As you can hear in the background, there's a lot of noise. There was noise in the background because one electoral officer had put in somebody as a senior citizen. That person is less than 65 years old. The citizens are demanded to verify.
Mr. Chipili has called for sanity in the voter registration exercise, or that the Electoral Commission of Zambia will fail in meeting its aspirations of registering 9 million voters within the said time.
On record, and advised the Electoral Commission of Zambia that the 1 month that they had projected that it's sufficient to capture all the 9 million citizens targeted for voter registration is absolutely not enough. If I'm number 33, the time now is 13:10. How many citizens are they going to capture? And those are the already, I was pre-registered, I'm only 33. So I can only assume that by 17 hours, maybe they'll capture 10 or 15 more citizens. So this station today would definitely capture less than 50 citizens. And if that continues for the month, we can do the math. They won't get the 9 million citizens they're targeting for. So they need to change the process. They need to bring in more stations if they're to capture more citizens. They need to create those special needs cases, pregnant women, senior citizens, and other health needs. Give them a particular station, and then they have these other stations that are attending to pre-registered citizens, and then these other stations. If this is the Electoral Commission of Zambia's office, and you only have 3 stations, then we have a problem in this country. So we want Mr. Sundano to take his job seriously, and we don't want him to be the reason why next year there's confusion in the country, or next year there's a disputation of the results.
Meanwhile, other citizens found at some stations spoke in monotone by calling ECZ to deploy more officers at these centers.
A pre-registered voter. I registered online. I went this morning to Monali polling station, and I was on the queue for about 2 hours. The queue didn't seem to be moving at all. I used my phone to just time how long it was taking for one individual. From the first point that the officer starts attending to them to the point that they leave, it was taking about 12 minutes. So through a colleague, I was told that the line seemed to be moving much quicker in the showground. So I drove here with my daughter, and we've been here for 2.5 hours. It's not any better at all. I'm number 57.
To get more people in here, I think there's only 3 people attending to everybody that's here, and I can only imagine what it's like at all the other centers. But if they get a few more people in here, it will be a bit better.
Here around 8. At first I was at Chiwalia Basic, and there I saw the process was very slow, and the system and the person who is attending to everyone there is just one person. So someone called me to say, no, when you go to showgrounds, there the process is a little bit faster. So I decided to come here. I drove here so that I can have my voter's card. I registered online, but they said, no, if you are registered online, the process is a little bit faster. But from 8 hours up to now, nothing has been done.
The thing is sensitization on the ground. Some people, they know that the old voter registration cards they own, they're the ones which are going to work. So we have those experiences. Go and get a voter's card that have it. The answer that you get from the ground is that I have it, because there is no sensitization on the ground.
It is hoped that going forward, the process will improve to ensure that the targeted number is registered. Sharon Kalimbola, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Meanwhile, Solwezi residents have bitterly complained about the slow pace of the exercise. Some of the residents spoken to by Camnet TV News at KANGWA polling station say they have been on queues since 05 hours, and by 16 hours they had not yet been issued with voters' cards. More in this report.
Solwezi district in the northwestern province too seemed to have its own share of the voter registration complaints. A check at Kiawama High School, where the process is being conducted, could only review one thing, which is the slow pace.
The mathematics our colleagues are using at ECZ is something we are failing to understand. Look at it this way. We have got one person registering inside, okay? And then it's taking close to 30 minutes to register one individual. So basically we'll be saying that at the end of the month we are going to have close to 2,500, 3,000 registered voters. Now this level of disfranchising citizens is alarming. If the PF have failed to run this election, the best they can do is to maintain the order voters row and just let people renew and remove those ones that have left us since. Unlike having a new voter registration exercise which they know they are not going to manage. This is the sham of it. This is not acceptable. These people are Zambians. Let them take part in the voter registration. Why are you defranchising people?
There is a problem here at Chawama Polling Station Secondary School. Starting from yesterday, the person is taking 30 to 40 minutes. So it has been given as a big problem. I don't know which plan are they making these ECZs. Isa Ochuru and Shindano Frederick. And there's only one person who is registering the people. There's a cluster of people, but one person, and she's ready. We need at least 2 or 3 people.
The residents wonder why government has opted to send only one person at a particular station to service hundreds of people.
Chama vulu adina mpira ya kufura 2021 na wakavote. Ilanga kutwesha wanyumulo nga government ina alongeshi chechu hawa nchatama. Neyi government ya tera ifuntuki mu station yani polling station mwikala to 2 hela 3.
Kotwa kuishira rukero na 05. Ino panoke 13 hours. Pano ye machine ya mwai ya biepi. Mambo ino Chawama yabaya. Panote bantu twavura kufuma rukero ketwa jane ambaba bikeko tu mashini imo yo istusakuitu kopanga byo twako kiranyi tuibireke ni tu vote ngani
police station ina letu ya kayejima aleta nga 4 5 6 antu amavuri cyo asoneke shanga han dirindalero dirungane tuchuna haya mkuchiletela muntu humu i muntu humu asonekamu akopamu aela ngasiri ngamu kutatika budidi 05 itwenjira kushika nini umpinji kwa sinyume tuna duwa nchulo kurucho kula netu iringai tutamburi manani ma voters card muna kenga tulekindi tuchwaleku.
The voter registration is turning out to be like the NRC issuance, which also had a lot of challenges even up to now. Kalan Muchima reporting for Camnet News.
We now take our first set of commercials to stay with us as we have more interesting stories lined up for you.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
And why do you look so pale and busy scratching yourself?
Lamwandi, you know my skin is very sensitive. I've tried all the skin products and nothing seems to work.
Have you tried Oracle Pure Glycerin?
Oracle Pure Glycerin? What's that?
Just give me a minute.
Oracle Pure Glycerin gives your skin a youthful and healthy glow.
Ish, you're glowing. Don't tell me.
Yes!
I already know the secrets.
Oracle Pure Glycerin!
Try Oracle Pure Glycerin for that perfect skin. Join Pastor Victoria and Moses Chilua, the Healing Word Ministries International.
Starting on the 3rd to 6th December 2020.
Dr. Francis Miles from the USA returns to Zambia for a conference on issuing restraining orders.
Because you see, God responds to your revelation. So if you approach God as the healer, He heals you. If you approach Him as your shepherd, He will touch your soul. But if you approach Him judicially, He will show you He's the cause.
Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Time,
17 hours to 19 hours from Thursday to Saturday.
And on Sunday from 09 hours to 11 hours. For more details, call +260 962 965 883. You do not want to miss this conference this time.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. Some filling stations in Lusaka have run out of fuel. A check at engine filling station in Chilenje revealed that it was abandoned as it had no drops of either diesel or petrol. More in this report.
In the last week of October 2020, most parts of the country experienced dry fuel pumps, which caused panic among the traveling public. Energy Minister Matthew Nkua then told the nation that the fuel crisis was as a result of striking truck drivers, who included tanker drivers, and assured the nation that the situation was under control. However, the situation seemed to have stabilized as are working again, as some filling stations in Lusaka seem to have run out of the commodity. A check at engine filling station in Lusaka's Chilenje area revealed that the station had totally run out of both diesel and petrol. Cars were being diverted to other nearby filling stations. This filling station ran out of fuel Monday evening. I also checked the situation at Puma Interland. Here, though the filling station had fuel, which was fast running out, had long queues. It took 45 minutes for this reporter also to be attended to due to the demand. Far from here is Mosotunya Puma filling station. The station seemed abandoned, though some attendants told me that they had fuel but not the required amount in their fuel reservoirs. But by broadcaster and this reporter never saw any car being refueled. A clear sign that they were struggling with fuel too. Would these be signs of another looming fuel shortage? Kalan Muchima reporting for Camnet News in Lusaka.
Prisons Care and Counseling Association, PRISCA, has appealed to the Department of National Registration to go around the correctional facilities and issue new national registration cards, NRCs, to deserving inmates and to replace for those who have lost their NRCs. In an interview with Camnet TV, PRISCA Executive Director Geoffrey Malembeka has also appealed to the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, as it has commenced the voter registration to go ahead and register inmates for the 2021 general elections as ruled by the court. Dr. Malembeka says it is easier to carry out voter registration for people who are in an enclosed facility compared to open communities. Dr. Malembeka says without the issuance of the NRCs to inmates, it will defeat the court ruling for the inmates to vote in the 2021 general elections. The prison's vote has been a bone of contention for the political parties, among other electoral stakeholders who have said the process to the elections in prison will not be fair.
Strongly appeal that they go ahead and give voters cards to those inmates who have NRCs as we wait for the Department of National Registration to give those others who may not have NRCs. That is what we want to hear, and I will be phoning my colleagues. So far we've worked very well. We have received submissions from everybody. We are only waiting for one big meeting to validate the submissions that came from political parties, from judiciary, from LAS, from CSOs and other stakeholders at Mulungushi Conference Center. That is where we are. But it is so clear, and LAS cleared that when we were receiving submissions from LAS, that ECZ doesn't need to wait. Let them go ahead, register the people, give them the voters' cards for them to exercise their rights next year.
The Zambia National Men's Network for Gender and Development has recorded 270 cases of males seeking counseling in the last 4 months, that is between June and September 2020. Organization Executive Director Nelson Banda explains that the nature of counseling ranged from physical abuse as a result of marital conflicts, broken homes, and attempted self-harm or suicide, among others. Mr. Banda says the 270 cases handled in a period of 4 months shows the urgency to reach out to men to seek counseling when pressed with serious emotional challenges, which is not good for their health. More in this report.
Gender-based violence in Zambia, mainly associated with women being abused in form of physical, mental, social or economic abuse against them. But in actual sense, gender-based violence is perpetuated on either male or female by virtue of one's gender. But GBV perpetuated against a male is seldom spoken about due to various reasons, ranging from traditions which say a man can or cannot do certain things. The Zambia National Men's Network for Gender and Development is helping men speak out when they face any form of abuse or indeed if they are perpetrators. The network has in the last 4 months recorded 270 cases of men seeking counseling, with the nature of counseling ranging from physical abuse as a result of marital conflicts, broken homes, attempted self-harm or suicide. Nelson Banda is network coordinator.
Between June and September, we handled about 270 cases of men bringing their complaints here and also for counseling. So the cases range from emotional abuse, physical violence, and many other cases, including divorce, conflicts over properties, attempted self-harm or suicide, if you like, and so forth. So we've attended all these cases. But what is more interesting to know is that after doing an analysis of all these cases, we noted that there's a category of men that tend to shy away from seeking counseling services. But we're also happy that the number of men that are coming is increasing, and they want to make use of our services. Yeah. So one other issue that is also coming out is that some of the 270 cases that we handled, 34 of those were former GBV perpetrators whom we have transformed into good men.
But what are the major effects of bottling up issues when affected, especially by men?
You understand that men on a daily basis go through a lot of pressure, especially now when you have most men who have lost employment, they are looking for money to pay school fees, rentals, and so forth. So there's a lot of pressure that builds in them, and as a result, they tend to, vent their frustration on their spouses and children. So it also contributes, but also to mention that, by nature, men are socialized in a way that they are not expected to expose their pain.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka. A substance abuse rehabilitation therapist and educator, Lakson Banda, says the unregulated sale of alcohol in the streets of Zambia and its abuse by youths is a time bomb, as it poses a very serious mental health challenge to the nation. Dr. Banda has appealed to government through the Drug Enforcement Commission, DEC, to fast-track the construction of the rehabilitation center where many youths who are addicted to a cocktail of substances will be rehabilitated through an institution and a process where they are brought back to sanity. And Dr. Banda further says DEC should look at modalities on how some of the substances can be properly regulated. Meanwhile, Dr. Banda has also appealed to liquor producers to set up a fund under the social corporate responsibility that will help organizations which are well-meaning to rehabilitate and restore the lives of young people who are getting addicted on their products.
It is very shocking that when you wake up in the morning and pass through the streets of Lusaka and even some other compounds right here in the Republic of Zambia, that you find young men who are supposed to be productive early at a tavern, early at a brothel, early at some place of drinking, some even in the streets drinking cachaso, drinking junta, which is a very unfortunate situation that our nation Zambia finds itself in. And the government also should look seriously into formulating a law, and that law that will compel the liquor producers in this country to make sure that deliberately and intentionally there is a policy that compels them to respond to the side effects of the products which they are making. For example, alcohol. Let's talk about junta. These are the flames that our country is seated on a flame. It's a time bomb. So if government compels these people, these liquor producers, to create a fund that will help organizations dealing in rehabilitation to make sure that they do their job properly.
We now take another set of commercials. To stay with us as we have international and sports news. Don't go away.
Stay home, stay safe. Times have changed. With the advent of the coronavirus, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company would like to advise its esteemed customers to avoid visiting crowded places. You don't have to move to pay your water bill. You can do it in the convenience of your home. You can pay your water bills through Zanaco Zapit, Stanbic Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and FNB. You can also use Airtel, MTN, and Zamtel Kwacha mobile money transfer services. For any inquiries to report a fault, please contact our customer service on +260 211 251 571, +260 975 618 618, and toll-free line 5957, Zamtel only. You can also simply email customer service at lwsc.com. This public announcement is brought to you by the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company. Water is life. Sanitation is health.
Join Pastor Victoria and Moses Chilua, the Healing Word Ministries International.
Starting on the 3rd to 6th December 2020.
Dr. Francis Miles from the USA returns to Zambia for a conference on issuing restraining orders.
Because you see, God responds to your revelation. So if you approach God as the healer, He heals you. If you approach Him as your shepherd, He will touch your soul. But if you approach Him judicially, He will show you He's the cause.
Venue: the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Time:
17 hours to 19 hours from Thursday to Saturday.
And on Sunday from 09 hours to 11 hours. For more details, call +260 962 965 883. You do not want to miss this conference this time.
We continue with the news. U.S. Attorney General William Barr has allowed prosecutors to probe alleged irregularities in the presidential election, prompting a senior Justice Department official to quit. Barr sent a memo on Monday in which he wrote that since voting had concluded, it was now imperative that the American people can trust that the outcomes accurately reflect the will of the voters. The Attorney General acknowledged that individual states had the primary responsibility for the conduct of elections, but said the Justice Department had an obligation to ensure that federal elections are conducted in such a way that the American people can have full confidence in the electoral process and their government. However, critics have said launching the investigation is undermining the system, as there have been no evidence of widespread wrongdoing. In other news, there has been some promising COVID-19 vaccine news. A primary analysis shows the first effective coronavirus vaccine can prevent more than 90% of people from getting COVID-19. We monitored the BBC.
The U.S. Attorney General Bill Barr has taken the unusual step of authorizing federal prosecutors to investigate possible irregularities in the presidential election. His move follows days of attacks on the election process from Donald Trump, so far without any credible evidence. Meanwhile, U.S. President-elect Joe Biden has started assembling his team to prepare for taking over the presidency at the end of January. David Willis reports.
Joe Biden is wasting little time preparing for his ascent to the White House, announcing the lineup of a task force to deal with an issue that could dominate the early days of his presidency, the coronavirus. And holding his first call as president-elect with a foreign leader, Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. As that call was taking place, Donald Trump, who since the election result was announced has only been seen on the golf course, was firing his Defence Secretary Mark Esper, terminating him, in the words of the president. It's thought other high-profile administration officials could soon follow Mr. Esper out the door. The president has yet to concede the election, and his team is mounting legal challenges in multiple states. The top Republican in the US Congress told lawmakers Mr. Trump was fully entitled to contest the outcome.
The core principle here is not complicated. In the United States of America, all legal ballots must be counted. Any illegal ballots must not be counted. The process should be transparent or observable by all sides, and the courts are here to work through concerns.
And after meeting with Mitch McConnell, the Attorney General, Bill Barr, announced that the US Justice Department would be involving itself in investigations into voter fraud. That, as the president set about attacking his former ally, Fox News, and other media outlets, accusing them of tampering with the election by broadcasting polls that he said had been inaccurate. Fox later cut off the White House press secretary as she sought to explain Donald Trump's refusal to concede.
You don't take these positions because you want an honest election. You don't oppose an audit of the vote because you want an accurate count. You don't oppose our efforts at sunlight and transparency because you have nothing to hide. You take these positions because you are welcoming fraud and you are welcoming illegal voting.
Well, I just think we have to be very clear. She's charging the other side is welcoming fraud and welcoming illegal voting. Unless she has more details to back that up, I can't in good countenance continue showing you this.
It all points to a messy and rancorous transition period with less than 10 weeks to go before Inauguration Day.
A vaccine has been shown to be more than 90% effective in preventing COVID-19. That's good news, right? But it sadly doesn't mean we can get the vaccine tomorrow. This is a preliminary analysis from a phase 3 trial, and more evidence is needed about how safe and effective this vaccine is, and then regulators need to be convinced that it can meet quality standards before it can be given to more people.
But before we get too carried away, we really have to be careful about safety and scale around the vaccine. So whilst we can go with confidence, I don't think we're seeing any return to normal by Christmas.
But the companies behind the vaccine, that's Pfizer and BioNTech, they're going to apply for emergency approval to use the vaccine by the end of November.
We'll do our best. We've been working day and night. The clock never stops in our labs or offices, so we'll keep on with that momentum.
This vaccine will need to be given in 2 doses, around 3 weeks apart. But storing it is going to be a big challenge. It needs to be kept in ultra-cold conditions at around minus 80 degrees Celsius. That's a big challenge. But the companies believe they can supply 50 million doses by the end of this year and around 1.3 billion by the end of 2021. It's important to say this is not the only COVID-19 vaccine currently in development. There are around a dozen at the same stage of testing, and we could have others soon.
There's a kind of tendency that when we get excited about these vaccines, is to think about vaccines as a sort of silver bullet. And this cannot replace just the time and tested methods of track and trace, monitoring the outbreak, changing our behaviour. So extremely exciting, very hopeful, but let's not take our eye off the ball of the very basics of how we respond to health crises.
We now get into sports news. In sports news, Belgian-based striker Fashion Sakala and Russian-based midfielder Kings Kangwa have arrived ahead of the back-to-back Cameroon 2021 African Cup of Nations matches against Botswana. The duo arrived at 12:30 hours at Kenneth Kaunda International Airport and have since linked up with their teammates. Russian-based striker Evans Kangwa has been ruled out of the 2 matches after limping out of Arsenal's Tula's 1-1 draw with Rota on Saturday. The former Ghana forward is expected to be out for close to a month. Zambia will host Botswana on Thursday, November 12th at the National Heroes Stadium at 18 hours, with the return fixture set for Gaborone 4 days later. Zambia sits bottom of Group H with no point after 2 rounds of matches and a 6-goal difference after losing 5-0 and 2-1 to Algeria and Zimbabwe respectively.
I think this is an advantage for us. Starting from home, I think it will give us a lot of confidence and courage to work extra hard because the game is in our country, so we have to do it for the people. We have to do it for the fans, and I believe what they want is good results. So it's very important for us. It's an advantage. Like I said, we just have to win here because we always put the fans in front of us, and this is a very important mission for the fans, and we believe that we are going to deliver. I believe of speaking positivity than negativity. So all what I want is a victory, home and away. I believe that we can do it. If fans are with us, and then it will be more easier for us. If we don't score and then we can't win, you know, let's say if they have good defense and then we don't score, then it will be difficult for us. I mean, if we get a draw, it will be very bad for us. But we are going to try by all means and find goals. That's the most important mission we have. For me as a striker, I'm here to deliver. And when I meet strong defenders, I have to be a strong striker too. So that's what I'm looking forward to. All what I need is to deliver.
Everyone knows that this game is very important for us and for everyone. So we have advantage. We're starting from the home, so we have to push, we have to win with new goals and to give us good direction, to give us advantage to go there even to win. So this one is very important for us. By now we have been trained together, everyone is ready, so I'm sure we'll give everything in this game.
That sports item brings us to the end of the news, but before we go, a recap of the headlines. DP and UPND storm Electoral House over voter registration hiccups. Some filling stations in Lusaka ran out of fuel. A mother of a 2-year-old boy testifies how a 33-year-old ZAF officer sodomized her son. In international news, U.S. Attorney General orders vote fraud inquiries. And in sports news, a fashion, KANGWA arrive for Zebras clash. We now look at the Camnet TV verse of the day, which is coming from the book of Mark 10, verse 45, and it reads, "For even the Son of Man came not to be saved, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." On that note, we have come to the end of the news, and on behalf of the entire news production crew and myself, Liseli Kanyanga, thank you so much for watching Camnet TV, not just another channel.